This weekend, we catch up with the guys at R3 Podcast, dive back into Hyrule, and break down Sega's Mega Man knockoff. I'm Ryan.
I'm Andy.
And this is Weekend Rental, episode 152. All right, everyone. Special episode here. We've got guests on. It's been a while. Returning for another stint on the Weekend Rental Podcast. We've got the R3 Ramble, Record, Repeat fellas, along with Andy, of course. But if you guys want to introduce yourselves so we can put a name to the face, or the voice, I guess.
Go ahead, Chris. Well, fine. I'm Fraser. I am 6'1". I enjoy walks on the beach, and I prefer dogs over cats.
Okay. I am Chris, aka Nintendo Hodge, or just Hodge. I am a Pisces. I enjoy sushi, and I like to watch hockey.
Nice.
And I'm not going to lie, when you said you had guests, for some reason, I thought you said we have gas today.
I have gas every day.
Same here. It's great.
4 guys in one day. I mean, there's chances are one of us does. So
I did love that after we had you guys on the very first time, and I'm explaining my adult pant crapping fiasco. Like, you guys both played so innocent, and then within like 3 months, I'm getting messages from both of you that it's happened. So
you don't realize. You don't realize how much it happens, or you don't want to admit it. But then you're like, you were vulnerable. You opened those doors. You tore that down for us. So.
There's no barrier.
Just had to. Yep. There's none. Not anymore. I just send you pictures of my shit-stained underwear now.
Is this like an awareness campaign that we're starting?
Yeah. Adult men, we poop.
Everywhere.
We just got shirts that just say "we poop."
It's okay to poop.
It is. Everybody poops. That's why I keep telling my son. Isn't there a book?
I think so.
Everybody poops. Yeah, we're going through the potty training right now, so
that's always fun.
So far, not bad. We've had successful pees, no poops. Good. We'll put the diaper back on him, and then like 2 seconds, like poo. I'm like, you little frick. You're so cute, but
yeah. Once you get out of the diapers, man, that's great.
I know, but then by the time he's out of the diapers, I'm gonna be in them. So Ashley's just lost, no matter what.
Well, what have you guys been up to? I know we talked a little bit about the podcast. You guys both. Or before the podcast, you guys have both been traveling recently, some vacations.
Yeah.
How did those things go?
Very good. We went to Melbourne Beach, Florida, and it was just a nice getaway. It was myself, my mom, my dad, my brother, Ash, and of course Nathan. And we just went to kind of like a retirement trailer park. My parents were there for like a month. So we just went for a week and we kind of hijacked their vacation.
Nice.
The weather was perfect. We went swimming like 3 or 4 times a day. Good food, went shopping, and then went to Disney Springs for a bit, which was perfect for Nathan because it wasn't like the full-blown Disney experience. So I wasn't worried about him forgetting stuff. He's only 2.5. So we got to go to the stores and all that stuff. I had a good time. Like, we went swimming with Nathan every day. And funny enough, we put him in swim lessons, and I found he got better swimming just farting around in the pool with us than those swimming lessons ever did. Like, he was literally like floating on his stomach. He had like one of those weird life jackets that just come on the arms and across the chest, so not a full one. And he was floating and kicking and dog paddling and just swimming around the pool by the end of the trip. Where when awesome. we're in the lessons, he's like afraid to get his face wet and doesn't want to do anything. He's just screaming at the top of his lungs. This one, he didn't want to get out of the pool. It was great.
Reminds me of when we were kids. I just got thrown in the pool and it was sink or swim, right?
Yeah. my son he was too shy to do the swimming lessons. So yeah, he just kind of picked it up on its own too. I do have a fun story though, where we took him boating one summer and we had a tube out there because we were pulling behind the boat and he's like 4, right? So I'm holding him in the water because it's up to my chest, too tall for him. And I just grab him and he doesn't realize that the tube is directly behind us. He's got no life jacket on, and I just hucked him like I was going to murder him. And like the look of terror on my father just threw me off of a cliff sort of look as he's flying through the air and then lands safely like 2 feet away on a tube. It was great. He still brings it up. I scarred him for life.
Never forget that.
It's so
That's
worth
a core
it.
memory.
Yeah.
That is a core memory. If there ever, what's that movie? Is it Inside Out or
Yep.
yeah. Inside Out,
yeah.
where it just goes to thing, and it's this. There's like family town, family emotional damage town, and it's just the statue
Murderous father.
just the statue throwing your child. But everyone has those memories of like, you it's a dad gift, isn't it, to try to scare your children?
Yeah.
It's terrible jokes and to scare them.
Well, you want them to respect you when they're teenagers, or at least be terrified of you. They're not going to respect you, but
No, because you
Be
can't go up to
terrified.
you can't go up to your kids and like, make them flinch or anything, because that's abuse or whatever. You're in a mall. Hey, I told you, shut up. You start like stepping up to your kids. Doesn't work, man.
it's not like he used to be.
I know. Drink water from a hose and get whooped.
Well, that sounds awesome. Florida.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
Chris's vacation sounded better.
Well, my vacation was lucky. It was just the adults only vacation. So my kids didn't come with us.
That sounds fantastic.
Last year, it kind of got the bug to travel. And so last year I went to Turks and Caicos, and this year we went to Jamaica. So from one tropical island to another. If you've never been to Jamaica, go. It was amazing.
What was better?
They both had their pros and cons. The beach in Turks was way better than the beach in Jamaica, but the resort was better in Jamaica. Like all inclusive, we were an adults only resort. It was like a family on one side, adults on the other. So we were allowed to go everywhere on the resort, but obviously kids couldn't come on the adult side. And so many different restaurants. The beach was so huge, you could pick a spot on the beach and you wouldn't have to worry about being too close to people. And then there were so many different pools that would like kind of interconnect. You could like swim the whole resort in these pools, swim up bars, and even the entertainment, very culture centric, right? Like Jamaican entertainment, which was nice, where in Turks they're a British Isle, so they don't have like that culture feel to it. So I guess that's more of a plus to Jamaica. And it was cool. We did one excursion while we were there where we went to these luminous lagoons is what they're called. And when you swim in this water at night, so we're in the water, it's like 9:00 at night, and it looks like the water's glowing. You move your hands in the water and there's like these organisms in the water that like connect to your skin somehow. And when you move, the water's like glowing. So it's pretty cool.
Wow.
That's
It's neat.
That sounds like a lot
something-
of fun.
Yeah, it sounds like something out of Avatar.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Like the
It's
algae, you're just kind of
sounds
swimming
what
around.
it is. Yeah.
Did you taunt the families that were in the family side that couldn't come to the adult side?
You would just see the parents with the kids. and
Did
you
they just like run
smile
down
and-
so upset? Did you go by like this?
Just dangling some candy. Come here, kids.
The kid,
Aw.
he's like you have like the dad carrying like 7 bags, and the mom's like dragging the kids, and you're walking with 6 margaritas hammered to crap at 9 a.m.
Hey,
Oh, man.
you know what? That's one of the first times in a while where like we woke up. It was like 9:00 in the morning. Every day they would stock your fridge. So I grabbed my 2 beers out of my fridge, sit down. We ate breakfast on the terrace, drink my 1 beer. We go down to my in-laws or my sister-in-laws. Their room was just below us, and I drank my 2nd beer down there. And then, all right, let's head to the beach. And yeah, it was awesome.
Red Stripe?
That sounds amazing.
No, that wasn't. That was it was like Presidente or something.
Oh,
They
I've had Presidente
yeah.
before. That's pretty good too.
Yeah, they consider Red Stripe more of the fancy stuff. So yeah,
Really?
yeah, it was weird. So
I always thought that was like the
Yeah.
everyman's beer down there, but okay.
pretty much, yeah.
Al Presidente, though, when I went to St. Lucia. No, we went to St. Martin. That was everywhere, but that beer was very good. I like that one. Just
And they're like
you know what it is?
mini cans too.
Oh no, we had the big ass bottles, but it was one of those like when it's hot and that's really cold. It hit the spot. It was great.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds amazing. I don't think Andy and I have done anything nearly as exciting. I've been nowhere in the last couple months. Fun and tropical and warm, anyway.
It feels tropical here now, finally, compared
Yeah,
to
we-
what it was. But
We went
We
from
had-
snow in my yard 3 weeks ago to like 90 this week, so it's been great. Just that real slap in the face of like, oh, you thought you weren't gonna have to heat or use the air conditioner? Nature's just like, nope, fuck you.
We've had a couple days where it's like AC, and then the next day it's like cold. And I'm like, I just want to get to one area.
Yeah,
I said to Ashley, like right now, we put Nathan to bed right before we started to do this, and I was like lying on the bed, and I'm like, it is the perfect temperature for sleep. Like, when you lie there, you don't have to go under the sheets. It's perfect. And I'm like, if I do not move, I'm not going downstairs. Like, it was that
Nice.
Finally, we're kind of hit that sweet spot in the house.
That's what you want.
From what I've seen on your posts, you guys got a hell of a lot more snow than we did this year too. Like, I was expecting the worst this year for snow, and we was very minimal here, and like not that bad. A couple snowstorms and nothing major.
Yeah, it was record setting, I think, on the western side of the state, like record snowfall, like on, since recorded history anyway. But yeah, it was.
Then it
was
took forever to
insane.
go away too.
Yeah, it was the length of it. Like, we got snow so early and so much right away, and then it just kept piling on. Every month there'd be 2 storms guaranteed that would get like 5 to 8 inches. It was bull crap. It was the one year where I actually thought of, like, everybody jokes like, haha, why do we live here? But like, I'm like, really, why do I live here? And I was out the last storm, I'm out there with my snowblower and it's not moving at all because I just can't get traction. It's so wet, so sloppy. I got to shoot it like 12 feet up to get it out of the driveway. And I just sounded like the guy from A Christmas. I'm just cursing up a storm at this stupid snowblower that's not moving. And it was ridiculous.
Fudge. Yeah, man. We didn't have much at all. Like, it would come and it would go within the next. Like, we had a couple storms where it was a big amount, but like Chris said, it was nowhere near like what you guys had to deal with.
Well, now you guys are killing us because I wake up and can't see 2 feet out my window because it's Silent Hill down here because of the Canadian forest fires coming from the Alberta area.
Oh yeah, we're getting a little bit of that here too, but you guys might be getting it worse than what we are.
Yeah, I think the jet stream's just like right into our backyard pretty much. So
yeah,
that's why you guys all just have to come move to Burlington. Nothing happens here. It's nice.
It's just so weird for really a spring fire, Usually it's like July you'll start seeing it, but yeah.
Some donuts at Burlington. I'll show you the good donut places.
Nice.
Yeah. So we're living on the family side. You guys are living on the adults only side.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I still got some things here that would make it like adults only. So I don't think there's any place. I think Jamaica is the only place where it's adults only.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that the one thing with the weather warming up is at least garage sales are back on here. I'm sure you guys are getting them too, but I've done a couple days and it's been pretty all right.
I haven't had a chance to go out yet.
I was going to say,
I'm very upset that I haven't been able to go.
You didn't even go for May 2-4, eh?
No, I wasn't able to make it.
So we had a tradition before my work gave me weird off days that I would go up to Chris's. I would spend the weekend and we go garage selling on the Saturday of the May 2-4 weekend. Because it's generally like the first nice, warm, long weekend.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it was just get hammered, play video games till like 2 a.m, and then wake up at 4 or 5 and go garage selling.
Still drunk.
Yeah.
And Nintendo tapes.
Duck shoot games.
Yeah.
So then Ashley, my wife, just got a new job, a full-time position now. Like, she was doing freelance and she got a new full-time position with this place called Motif Labs, and they do all the marijuana extracts, and she's doing the graphic design for that. And every Monday they have like one of those like powwow meetings where they go, oh, what have you do, memories and stuff like that, just to kind of break the ice. And I'm like, wow, I've never heard of a company do that. My place doesn't do that. Every place I've worked at, don't give two craps what you do. Like, just come in and do your job. Right. So she's like, oh, what should I tell them? Because it's about the long weekend. I'm like, tell them about the time that I went garage selling with Miles and Chris and Miles went and got in the wrong car. And like, he literally just went into the wrong car to the garage sale, and we made fun of him for it. And then Ashley made fun of him for it. And then Ashley went with myself and Chris, and she went in the wrong car. Like, literally. And she's like, what's going on? I'm like, Ashley, it was Sega. Nobody locks their doors. Pay attention. Ours is the one that's got like a bunch of nerdy stuff in it. Not the church car. Not the one with the cross and the Buddy Christ in the thing. That's not in Chris's car. So she told them that story, and they're like, you really got in the wrong car? And she's like, yep. And then I was at home because I was about to go to work, and she turned the camera to me. I'm like, yep, wrong car. And it was great. Myself and Chris had a great laugh. Neither of us have gone to the wrong car yet, but it's still a potential.
So there's a chance.
Yeah, man. Haven't had a chance, but I've been doing a bunch of stuff on Facebook Marketplace. People are like pumping stuff out on Facebook Marketplace like crazy, and like decent prices.
Okay.
Not like crazy. So my son's into what's that stupid movie? Lightning McQueen. Cars.
Yeah.
And he just started watching it. So trying to buy the toys themselves from the stores are so expensive because obviously he's a little late to the party. So whatever you could get is whatever you can get.
Yep.
But they're like $14 for a die-cast car. So I'm looking on Facebook Marketplace and I'm finding like people are like, oh, my son doesn't play this anymore. And like bundles of them. And I'm getting them there. And there's like $20 for 30 cars. And it's like Mater, Lightning McQueen, like all of them. So I'm like, yes, please.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that's what I'm doing. And like, because my wife originally wanted to buy everything new. And I'm like, no. Not with kids' toys, because he's going to grow out of it in a year.
Right.
So you're going to lose money. At least this, you might make money. And then maybe a collector would want them if Nathan keeps them in somewhat condition, but he does not.
Chances are you're going to be the guy putting them on Facebook like, yeah, $5, just come and get them.
Pretty much take them in garbage bag. We'll throw in a free empanada.
So have you had any luck with any games or anything yard selling yet?
So I went out. Yeah, was it? Yeah, 2 weekends ago because obviously Zelda launch I didn't go, but yeah, first weekend out it was good. There was like a nicer neighborhood on a golf course with like $1 million homes, and they had like a city or a neighborhood wide one, which that was okay, nothing great, but for a morning I ended up with some Zelda collectibles like a shield and the Master Sword. What else did I get? I got a copy of Sonic the Hedgehog for free. And then I had Nate Biff with me. And that bastard is like 5 steps ahead of me and got a Game Boy SP in mint condition with like 10 games for $15. And I almost didn't let him back in the car, but that's nice.
I would have just started driving.
But yeah, it was weird because like those sales were like everybody had reasonable stuff. Like I could have bought a bunch of like decent TVs, like sound systems, sound bars, Blu-ray players, all like $5-10. It was just stuff that I left. And then a lot of people were clearing out like a really good quality VHS. Like if I was a VHS guy or like cared enough to flip, like there was like a sealed Blazing Saddles. There was like, I found like a ton of stuff that I would have loved, but I'm just not going to take the time to put it on Marketplace. But yeah, it was a good morning. I mean, usually I'm used to finding nothing, and I saw a ton of stuff that was worth it. And got a few things for myself. So,
no, that's awesome. Nice. Yeah. Like we were away for this weekend, so I wasn't able to go. But I did find one Marketplace listing where I guess it was somebody that had a yard sale and they were still trying to move stuff. And I got a stack of Xbox and PS3 games, like nothing amazing, but I paid her $40 for them. And it should be about $80 to $90 in value. So, I mean, I'll double my money eventually. So, but nothing amazing. Like, I mean, there was one of the Mech Assault games on the Xbox and a copy of Fable. And there was a couple other Xbox games that are kind of decent. And then actually, surprisingly, Heavenly Sword on the PS3 was in that bundle. And that's like a $15, $20 game now.
Yeah. That one's always held its value. It's kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm. But even when we went, like we actually went garage selling, you found stuff. Majority of the time it was stuff that we kind of kept. Like I don't think we found any big stuff when you and me went.
Yeah, not when we went, but they're
no,
like,
it was just more the fun of it, right? Like,
oh yeah, it's the fun, it's experience. You don't have to find anything, especially we're going out with friends and stuff. It's just more the experience.
Because it was like you've not gone garage sailing until you've gone garage sailing with Chris. He's got it literally like before we did, like the first time we went, he had it all mapped out on a paper, and one of us was the navigator, the other guy was one guy like did the Tim Hortons thing. So you pull into Tim Hortons, you get your coffee. The other guy ran to McDonald's and got so like, and then you were gone. You were good to go, right? Now, and the next time you go, he's got all on his. He did like a
Google Maps
where you had like the predetermined route.
Yep.
But literally, he's like, "There's one quickly." He does a Yui. Like your foot is out the door as the car is still like you felt like you were in Red. You know the movie Red when he steps out of the car as it's going. That's what it was. It was just Chris doesn't mess around, but it was like we hit everywhere. And then he's like, "Oh, this is the pawn shop that he knows." So we go to like his little hobby hole kind of place and stuff like that. It was Like, it is fun. You can't do that in Toronto. I haven't tried it in Barrie yet. Oh, not Barrie, Burlington, I mean. But Toronto, I went once garage selling, and everyone just astronomically priced things in Toronto.
I'm sure.
It's like, here, this broken toaster. It's in mint broken condition, $50. A rebuilder's dream. And some hipster's gonna buy it going, ooh, honey, we can rebuild this. It's gonna sit $50 and it's gonna sit there.
It's amazing, like the deals and the stuff you can find in some of those like smaller, like more remote towns, and like they'll do like a citywide and you'll show up, and I mean, it's insane. I mean, I've never found anything like crazy, but you go to like some of these towns where maybe there's like, I don't know, 800 people around here, and you'll show up and someone's got like a box of stuff and it's like $20 out the door. They don't care. They just don't want it. But yeah, I feel like you get to bigger cities and it is tough because people can go to millions of places to try and hawk it, right? Like you could go donate it. You could go hawk it at a pawn shop. You could find somebody who's going to flip it at a shop.
Yeah. The best thing I ever found, there's two actually. I was in Newmarket, and when I used to work in construction on our lunch, if you see a Value Village, I'd just go into a Value Village just to take a look. And they had a stack of NES games, really good condition. Mario 2, Mario 3, Zelda Gold Cart, just tons of really, really good games. And it cost me like $25 for the stack. So I'm like,
wow.
It was like that IKEA commercial, start the car, and you're like running. And then one of my coworkers was like, oh, I'm just cleaning out my garage. I don't need these anymore. Here, they're yours. And remember, I brought it up to your house to help clean it. And it was the N64, Smash Brothers, Mario Kart, Zelda. Like, he gave me all that. And I'm like, okay. I'm still to this day, I am working my cousin. Because I have a cousin that has 3 siblings, and his family was one of those families that they fought over it. So the mother would buy them each a system and each the same game. So they all have like the different color N64s and the GameCubes, and he's got like Rubbermaid containers. And she's like, oh, these aren't worth nothing. I'm like, if you're going to get rid of them, you call me, and I'm going to split it with Chris, and we're going to have just a table from his crap. Because it's literally, I think, no word of a lie, last time I was there, about 2.5 Rubbermaid totes, the big ones.
Jeez.
And you put your Christmas shit in of just video game stuff. And it's there still. And I'm like, I'm frothing at the mouth. I'm like, I'll randomly send the mother just to my aunt. I'm like, hey, if you're ever going to get rid of those, I'll take them. They're not worth anything. Yeah, they're not worth anything, but I'll take them off your hands.
Yeah, see, now you
Wayne's World.
Yeah, you should play the kid angle now. You're like, we want to play these games together. My son really, I think he'd enjoy those games. You should really just let me take them,
I'll just take them off. I'll give you $10. Just $10-12, But I remember your story when you found what was the game I'm trying to remember the name of the damn game.
Me?
Yeah, in that
Skies of Arcadia?
Skies of Arcadia, and you were like, got so nervous, you like threw
GameCube or Dreamcast?
Dreamcast, Skies of Arcadia. This was like a little tiny pawn shop.
Mm-hmm.
And basically I walked in there, and they actually had it behind the glass counter. Normally they didn't put games behind the glass counter, but it was there, and I saw it. I'm like, oh, Skies of Arcadia. I'm like, can I see that? And they pull it out, and I think the price was $5 on it. I'm like, ooh, I think I'm going to take that. And then the guy ended up only charging me $4 for it. I don't know why. I can't remember anymore. And I walked out of there, and it's the same thing. Like, to start the car, oh my god! And I get out to the car. I'm like, is this real? Looking at it and making sure the condition's good. And
it's like,
yeah, it was amazing.
Some of
that's one of my better single game finds. That, and when I found Pokemon. I think it was Pokemon Blue, Pokemon Gold, and Pokemon Silver in a electronic recycling bin on the ground.
Wow.
I was at one of my old jobs, and I was getting rid of a whole bunch of computer stuff. And I drove it over to a reuse it center where they had one of those electronic recycling bins. And the guy's like, oh yeah, just drive around back. You just throw it in that big bin. So I parked and I get out, and the bin was fairly packed full. So I want to try to get my stuff thrown further to the back, and I walk in, and I just happen to look down, and one of the Pokemon games was on the ground. I'm like, what? And I picked it up, and I'm like, I think it might have been blue, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, it's in good shape. I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, if this is here, there's got to be other stuff. So I start digging around, and I think I found I think it was gold, silver, and blue is what I found in there. So
wow. Andy's got some good stories too. Like, what did you get? Was it a boxed top loader NES for $1?
Yeah,
like 2 years ago.
Sale. Yep.
Wow. In the box too.
Have you gone out this year?
I haven't gone out this year at all.
Yeah.
No, it's been pretty busy on weekends, and now half the time you have to be out Thursday and Friday just to get anything good.
Yeah, what's the deal with that? When did they start having to open stuff on Thursday?
Yeah, I don't know. It's bullshit.
It is.
It's so weird. Like up north where we have our trailer, if you go yard sailing those weekends on the Saturday, don't bother starting before 9 o'clock. Nobody sets up there until 9:30 in the morning.
Really?
Where here at home, you can start going out at like probably 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
And you're good. But for whatever reason up north, no way.
Jeez.
Nothing starts until 9.
In Toronto, if you don't go out by like 6, all the stuff, if you're like actually looking for something, is gone.
Oh yeah.
I did find something else actually. I just remembered, but it wasn't really a garage sale find. I contacted them ahead of time, but I got a Dreamcast for like $10.
Nice.
Very nice.
But nothing, not a top loader in a box, you know. But yeah, like if you don't go out, like I said, I don't know how it is here, but in Toronto, you had to go out early especially because the thing is in Toronto, you have a lot of the game stores that go. And that's how they get a lot of their stuff because they have the money to drop. Like they have the money just to fork it out and just show up at people's places and they bully them into it. I'll give you this. Hold it for me. I'll give you an extra $50.
It's like that here too. Like if anyone puts it in the description, like just drive as far away from that as you can. Yeah. Because there's going to be somebody waiting that out. Like you want
half
the one
the
that's
time
like,
they're an hour early banging on their door to try and get in.
Right.
It, you know,
I've literally seen people roll under garage doors as they're opening up. Like that's not a joke.
I was gonna say, is it like the zombies from or like the ragers from like 28 Days Later when they hear the noise and their mouth is just open? They see video games and they just start running. They're out the door screaming. Nah, it's fun, but like that's the one thing I don't like about it is there's some people that just But this is that to be fair, we're doing it for fun. They're doing it potentially for a living, right? Like that's their So if you're not going to go at it fully, if that's your bread and butter, what's the point?
Yeah, that used to be the thing too. When we'd like Andy and I would go out because when Andy was flipping all that stuff hardcore, be like, well, that's a good deal, but like you're going to make a huge markup on that, and I'm going to put it on a shelf. I'm going to look at it for 3 years. So how about you just take this one and call it good?
But that was, I think, the deal we had too, though. Like, if it was anything like you really wanted when we went, we just specified you really wanted this. But if it was like something big that all of us kind of were just going to sell, we would sell it and then we split it.
Yep, I've done that a few times.
If it was me and Chris, we just split it the 2 ways. Or if it was myself, Chris, and Miles, we split it the 3 ways. Or if you really, really wanted it, you just this is like one of those things. Yeah, sure, go ahead, man. Like,
yeah,
it's just easier. We watched that episode of Simpsons with Radioactive Man comic #1. We didn't want that to come between us in any way, right? Like, we saw what happened.
That's the way to do it. Like Andy and I always had a pretty Andy helped me build like over half of my NES collection, so we're pretty generous with deals back and forth. Biff, on the other hand, that gets ugly because you get 2 guys who only want NES, and like we'd have to have rules. It's like any NES game brought in that is in neither of our collections goes into this pile, and then we will at the end of the day rock paper scissors, and you start picking which one, and then you get your next pick. Like it got pretty brutal. Like we had to really define it.
There was almost a broken hand over a copy of Zelda Wind Waker in a Goodwill
I about snapped him off on that one. Yeah.
Wow.
I got it. The leg. I got it.
That's the important part.
I got it. We didn't talk for like 3 months, but I got it.
He doesn't have a GameCube anymore. It's fine. Yeah. Well, I think it's time to get into what we've been playing. So, Fisher, you might as well go first because I know what the rest of us have been playing.
So I've played this thing called Vidya Games. No, it's like I was saying earlier. It's my very limited time with Nathan, and then working the night shifts, or not nights, but like baby nights, kind of like you're finishing getting home at like 3 a.m. It's just, you have very limited time. I have very limited time for gaming. So right now I'm playing Hogwarts Legacy. And then once that's done, I am going into Jedi Survivor. And I'm like just shy of beating Hogwarts Legacy. Then Jedi Survivor, then Tears of the Kingdom. It's like a weird, I don't know why I did it that way, but I know Tears of the Kingdom, like I know I could run through Jedi Survivor fairly quickly, where I know Tears of the Kingdom is going to be one of those like I have like over 100 hours in Breath of the Wild. So
yeah,
like I know it's one of those ones that like it's going to be a perfect game for my time restraints kind of thing. So I could just pick it up, play a bit, put it down, pick it up, which I love, but I know I'm going to be dicking around a lot in that game. So
yeah.
I haven't got it yet. I'm gonna.
How is
Wait.
Hogwarts in terms of like linearity? Like, is it pretty open, or do they really like force you down like a narrative path?
So you have like your main quests, which is like a pretty like linear path. Like it's the main story, but then they have tons of other like quests that you can do to get extra spells, to unlock different levels of spells. You don't have to do them, but you do them. I'm a completionist kind of when I play. I like to really go as much as I can. So I'm doing everything. Once you get flying, like the broom, it's so much fun. It is.
Nice.
And that's not even like, you even get the bag that's in Fantastic Beasts where it sucks the animals in, and you can actually get like a hippogriff and fly with that too. So it's really cool. But like I was saying, the one thing that I didn't like about the game is you're not an adult. You're a kid, and the voice acting they have for it is "Hello, everybody," and I'm like, that's my. I want my guy to have I want him to be bald and have a beard. I want it to be me going around, because you're a kid fighting adults. You're not fighting other kids. You are fighting adults. You're fighting dark wizards and goblins, and I want to be like, no, I want to be me. And the other thing I didn't like about the game, and it's like a minor gripe, but it is because it's not online. It's a local game. You shouldn't have any restrictions to what your names are. So
That's
my
fair.
first name I picked for my character was Reginald Dingleberry. Dingleberry wasn't allowed.
What?
Really?
I couldn't do Dingleberry. So I got really pissed off.
I guarantee you there's a Harry Potter book with Dingleberry in it.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
that's
this is
pretty English name, I would say.
I'm like, this is stupid. I want to be Dingleberry. Reginald Dingleberry. So then I'm like, well, let's see how like vulgar I can get. So in the end, I wound up with Percival Powerbottom. And that was my wizard name. And
I mean, appropriate for the controversy around this game.
Yeah,
so.
well, I'm just saying, if I can't be Dingleberry, I'm going full Powerbottom. And then I made my dude look like John Constantine. Because it's just, if I'm gonna go, I'm going John Constantine, but not Keanu Reeves Constantine, which is a good Constantine. I'm going like comic accurate, the blonde with the like I got the duster jacket and everything. I'm just flying around, Vita Kedibra and everybody. That's why I don't say the names, but like the killing curse to everybody. That's all I do. I'm evil, and it is fun. It's
Nice.
like you could go kill a teacher if you wanted to. They'll come after you, and then but you could.
Wow.
So you're Slytherin, I'm guessing? Is that
No, I did the questions at the beginning because they do a sorting thing and you answer the questions, and
Yep.
I ended up in I was gonna say Hogwarts. No shit. What's the main one? The Gryffindor. I'm a Gryffindor killing everybody, but I wanted Slytherin because green's my favorite color. But no, I'm a Gryffindor, and like you get to customize your wand. Like it is a lot of fun. The thing I didn't think I was gonna like in it is because they go through all the different schools of magic. So there's like summoning and like fire spells, attack spells, like all that kind of stuff. But I'm into the botanist, like the planting the weird things, and the Chinese snapping cabbage. I believe that's what they're called. You grow these fucking things. Pardon my language, but you grow these damn things, and when you're fighting, you throw them on the ground, and they just start hopping and then attacking things. So the troll's coming at me, and I'm like, I threw 16 of these things down, just destroyed the like nuked the troll. And I'm sitting here like this. I'm like, I wish I had a pipe, and I'm like, Another thing is, I found the game developers in this really, in terms of what you can do, didn't hold anything back. So I was fighting a troll, which are hard, easy to do, but it's like about kind of like a Dark Souls where you have to dodge a lot, then attack. And so I hit the troll to get his attention on me, and then I hopped on my broom and I flew to the edge of a cliff. And as the troll was running to me, he fell off the cliff, and then he died because he took fall damage and he died. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, was that an accident or was that meant to happen? But then you can, like with PlayStation, you can kind of watch, like if you save it, you can watch it back. There was a falling animation for the troll. I'm like, nope, they programmed this in there and they wanted you to do this. So now I try to find weird ways to break really hard boss battles.
Okay.
So like it's very fun. I haven't gotten tired of it yet, but I am almost done. And once that's done, I'm looking forward to going to Jedi Survivor, because I think the Jedi Survivor is the adults only resort where Hogwarts is the family one. But that's what I've been doing. Like, but I am seeing stuff from the Fallen Kingdom, or Tears of the Kingdom, Tears of the Kingdom, because my brother has it and he's been like, he got it like, because he works for Nintendo, so he got it right away, and he's like, this is what I did, and he's sending me all this shit, and I'm just like, oh, that looks so cool. I want to play this so bad, but I have to be patient.
Yeah, I was not patient, so I took the day off. Like any self-respecting gaming parent, I also pulled my son from school, because who needs numbers and reading? And we went and got 2 copies of Tears of the Kingdom. I wanted physical, and I wanted to make sure I got them, and I knew they'd be everywhere. So we grabbed them right away. 7 a.m. Target launch day, and spent not as much time as I figured over the weekend, but a good like 6 to 8 hours on that Friday getting into the game. It's funny because my son has not gravitated towards it as much, because he got into Breath of the Wild kind of right around the time he started getting into YouTube gaming. So like Breath of the Wild to him is watching people break the game and doing glitches, or watching people doing Let's Plays and walkthroughs. So he doesn't like that he doesn't know where to go. And I try to help him, but I'm also trying to explain to him, like, that's why it's fun. Like, the fact that you don't know where to go, but you could do anything, is what you should be enjoying. So I kind of still have to sit down with him and watch him play to kind of help him out so he doesn't feel like he's just lost. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. And I got lucky and there was a collector's edition just sitting at Target. So I bought one, not that I needed to. It was nice to have the option and waste another $40. I got a free fanny pack. And I think in talking to Andy and Chris here, we're all kind of in about the same spot where we've done one quote unquote dungeon and are just exploring the game. And yeah, I don't want to say too much off the bat. What I will say is best opening sequence possibly in any video game. Like when that thing opens, like that intro cinematic is great, but like when the sky opens up and like he's flying and then Tears of the Kingdom comes out, like fuck yeah, like everything about it, you're just like amped. You know what I mean? I loved it.
I was worried at first when I started playing it, because the new mechanics weren't grabbing me right away.
Sure.
It took me a little bit, and I don't get me wrong, I love it now. I think they're great, and I'm sure even just my brief stuff I've seen on YouTube's or clips of things they're doing in the game, like all of the sacrificing of the was it the Korix or
yeah, the ones with the big backpacks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're gluttons for punishment, man.
Yeah. Right. So, but at first I'm like, I don't know if I'm like these, because it feels like it's slowing things down, but it makes sense for what they're using it for. And I'm sure as the game opens up, there's going to be so much more to it. And when I start getting into the dungeons, you mentioned, I literally am just at a dungeon. I have not gone in yet. Sure. I've been trying to do more of the shrines to level up. Like, so I've done, I guess, like 12 shrines. So I've increased my stamina twice and I've added myself an extra heart.
Okay.
So, but yeah. So, and I mean, there's a lot of similarities, obviously, to Breath of the Wild, but it's still different enough. And without giving anything away, I feel this is better story driven than what Breath of the Wild was.
Yeah, that's fair. I think you're right.
You play games like how I do, though. You try to do all the outside stuff before you go to the main story. So when you go to the main story, you're like, ha, 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 and just running through things. Like,
Make yourself a little OP.
kind of like, but that's the whole point of it being open world, right? You could literally, if they didn't want you to do it, why would it be that? When I played the Spider-Man games, I did that.
Yeah.
When I played God of War, I did the same thing. I tried to get as much stuff as I could. So when I went for the boss battles, it was just, I've already done the hard stuff. This is going to be fine,
Well, I think like what's great about this game is like they literally in the first hour hand you god abilities and are just like go nuts. And like I found out today from the devs that the Ascend ability was literally a debug tool. That was a debug tool that they're like, oh, this is fun. Let's put it in the game. So yeah, it's so wild that, yeah, they take away your stamina, they take away your hearts, but it's just so wild that you're that powerful right off the bat. And like, there's so many ways, like you can cheese almost every shrine. Like you don't have to play by their rules at all. And it's pretty awesome.
The fact that they created something from what I've seen that just lets you and your imagination take over. And like the only limit to the game is like your, I guess, perspective on it. I think that's really cool. Like the fact that you can do, like my brother said, oh, I had to get up to this cliff. And he's like, well, you could do this. And he's like, screw that. And he just made like a giant ladder by connecting a bunch of logs together. And then he just climbed it. And I'm like, but that's the thing, right? Like it's, you gotta, in when you're doing something like in your regular life, you have 1,000 different ways to go about something and you have to find the one that works best for you. But in a lot of video games, they don't give you those options. It's like you said, a very linear path where this is what you have to do. And I like that this kind of just does that. And that's why I don't want to play it right away.
The hard part about that is seeing the stuff that's getting built online and me knowing that I'm going to be the guy that just builds that big log every time.
Yes.
Right.
Everybody else
simple.
is building
Keep it
helicopters and stuff, Yeah.
Hey, I've seen, because I'm on TikTok, and I've seen like giant penis monsters attacking things. So,
Yeah.
I've seen it. So it's okay if you just make a giant log, that's fine. You're not running around with a giant man with rockets on his back flying into things like. So.
Yeah, the amount of freedom is just nuts. And then like the scope of this world, like I've basically filled in most of the open world map at this point, minus a couple main areas, like 2 slivers actually. It is huge. And then you've got the whole Sky Plateau, which there's a ton of stuff there, but then there's like the whole other thing that they don't really talk about and you get into, but there's a lot of stuff happening under the surface, which I hate. I hate that area. It can fuck off. It pisses me off. I don't enjoy it at all. I don't like the mechanics. It's bullshit, but it's there. And I have a feeling, my feeling is like, I'm suspecting the game culminates there. And like, you're going to have to like do that, like sort of horror game thing where you're like, I don't want to go in the room. Like, I don't want to go in there, but I got to go in there because it's telling me this is the only path left. So
it's the only way.
It's going to be cool, but that area freaks me out and it is not fun for me. I got very lost in there for a very long time. I got really pissed off.
your kids come in and you get a blanket over you. Just shaking and crying. What happened? You're sipping like a cup of hot cocoa. I don't want to talk about what I saw.
I have like 2 kids that are freaked out about this game already because the way that starts in this game.
I wondered,
that was, they kind of got freaked out by that and they were like, yeah, I'm done watching Zelda now.
Zombie Ganon didn't sit well with them or what?
But no, I'm also a huge fan of the voice actor they got for him. I like Matthew Mercer. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
Well, because I watch Critical Role, right? So he's the DM of that, and he's also like the Vox Machina show. He's like a huge voice. He's McCree in Overwatch.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. So he's like a huge voice actor. So it's cool. And I'm like, when they got him, I heard it. I'm like, Mercer. But yeah, They really they did a good job. It looks like this. I know you got it, Chris, but did you guys get the OLED, the new OLED?
Oh yeah, I did too. Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I
so
saw Chris
goddamn
post it.
nice. It
Yeah.
is so
You know what though? I've experienced just tonight, and I don't know what it is. My right Joy-Con was acting funny, and I don't know if it was just the connectivity. Like I tried resetting it a couple times, and then I said screw it, and I just grabbed the Pro controller. I'll revisit it later. But I was trying to like jump and then use the paraglider, and my button wasn't working. I'm like, what the hell's going on?
no.
I'm falling off the cliff. So I hope it was just maybe a connectivity issue with the distance to the system or something. I don't know.
But yeah, it looks
Interesting.
beautiful though.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. I think that's probably one of the nicest, if not the nicest, collab Switches that I've seen.
When you
There's
don't
a
realize too, like how much just that little extra like screen to the edge of the bezel, like really makes that thing feel like a bigger screen.
It does. Yeah. You forget about it until you use it. Cause I'll be like, somebody's watching TV. I'm like, oh, I don't want to play the Switch. I'm like, well, wait a minute. It's got a giant screen on it if I play it portably. And I pull it out and I'm like, yeah, okay, this is good. I can play this way.
Well, it's weird for me too, because like I played Breath of the Wild on Wii U with like a non-pro controller. So I had no motion or anything. And I didn't use the bow and arrow at all because I found it like too cumbersome and like tedious with the thumbsticks. But you don't realize like now I'm exclusively playing handheld, like how precise and great like that motion control is. Like I'm pretty much all arrows. It's like a completely different approach to this game. It's crazy. I feel like I missed out the first time.
Yeah, just attaching everything that you can find to arrows and
Yes.
experimenting with it. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah. One thing it was kind of neat. I've been to the underground once, we'll call it, I guess, the underground. And I ended up killing like a skeletal creature there, and they leave their arms. And I attached the arm to one of my weapons. So I now have the arm attached to it. I'm like, oh, this is cool.
Has anybody done the thing where, for whatever reason, in my inventory, those like bomb plants tend to be right next to like the precious gems, and like in the heat of the moment, you're like cycling through, and then you realize you just like fired off like $100 root like gem that you could have sold. I mean, it does damage, but you're like, son of a.
Yeah. I've seen some clips where like he hit like a bomb on an arrow and he shot it, and he was sitting up there, he was sniping, and when it hit the powder kegs and everything, it blew up, but it launched a flaming stick back, and there was powder kegs behind him, and then that lit the powder kegs, and then he died. And I'm like, oh, you mean I can't just dick around for the sake of dicking around? I've got to be careful.
Yeah, it's
Maybe
crazy.
it was the direction that I went. I found this game a lot harder than Breath of the Wild. Like every place I went, I felt like I'm not supposed to be in this place because I was just getting one hit every time.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing because it's like I've shrined the hell out of stuff. So like I've got 3 extra stamina, and I think I just got to 11 hearts, and I've just gotten to the point now where I can't get one hit killed by stuff on the ground. Like, and I'm surviving by like half a heart. Like it's nuts, and I'm not in like crazy like end areas. It's just some of the bosses just hurt, or not the bosses, just like some of the regular bokoblins. They'll just screw you. I mean, I've died so much. Like this one, I definitely spam the hell out of the save, because like I'll assess the situation and I'll go in. I'm like, I'm probably gonna fuck this up, and I do. So I save scum the hell out of this
you're
stuff.
Totally Rick and Mortying with the button. Just rewind.
Just rewind. Yeah. Well, and that's the hard thing too, is like these abilities are so powerful, and like training your brain to remember that you have them, especially like the ascend and the recall for me.
Yeah.
Like I know I'm like doing things way harder than I need to because I just don't think to use them. The hand all the time, but everything else.
I literally I was up on one of the sky islands, and there was these things, little platforms that you're supposed to put rockets on, and you go between platforms. And it, they kind of set it up that way. So I finally get to like the third one, they have the same thing, and I do it, and it brings you to an island, but it's on the very bottom where there's like a spire coming down. So I thought you had to get on that spire and just figure out how to climb up it. And I spent probably about 45 minutes just kind of wiggling my way, Skyrim Skyriming my way up, trying to get up this thing, and dying all the time. Eventually, I just realized, no, you just have to angle the rockets up so you go at an angle up. So it's like stuff like that where you just like you make it harder than it actually is.
It needs to be
with the tool. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not thinking about all the tools you have, you know?
I was up in the sky area, and you know how they have those big giant floating platforms that are kind of everywhere? I got to a point where I did what you did. I used a rocket thing to shoot myself across to one of the other islands, and I get there and there's like kind of nothing there but one of those. I think there was one or two of those platforms. So I used those, and I just kept going from one to the other and spinning them around and jumping on them to try to get way over to this other island. It took me like 10, 15 minutes. And then I'm just about over there. And then all of a sudden one of the platforms disappears. I guess it only lasts for so long. So then I had to jump off, paraglide down, and I just made it onto the other island.
Yeah. Wow. I had that realization too with those balloons. I don't know if you played around with them much. Like I didn't realize the balloon itself would have like a time limit. So like I crafted this thing, like I'm going to get to this next piece of the sky island. I get like 20 feet below this thing and my balloon just bursts and I come like screaming down. And I was so pissed. It's like, I could taste it. I was almost there.
It was just tickling your balls. It's just right there.
Yeah. It's wild, the amount of stuff like, and just even when you think you've seen stuff, there's so much stuff online. I guess I've been trying to keep myself away from it, but that I've never seen online, like as far as like the devices and things you can use. But yeah, the rockets are fun. Like that's my favorite thing to do is take those Korok guys and just like slap a rocket on them and the fire's that way. See ya. Like I'll meet you over there. You know,
there's a smoke signal that way.
Yeah, you'll get in the vicinity. Yeah.
A couple other things I saw because like they give you the merge.
Yeah, the fuse
ability.
Yeah.
And someone sent me a clip. It was probably my brother. That was my brother. And he's like, take a shield you don't like and install a minecart to it. And when you do the shield surfing, it's like a skateboard. Well, someone did that. And then they put this theme song from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Here I am. And I saw this and I'm like, you prick. So then I downloaded it from my PlayStation and I started playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater. It was a PlayStation free game. So I'm just like, freaking wicked. And I'm just awesome. Like, and that's how my mind goes. And this is why I don't play certain games. Cause it's like, I see a clip of them making a skateboard in a Zelda game, and then I hear the song, and then I go play Tony Hawk's. Like not the Zelda game where you could do this. No, I go play the game that it makes me think of. So,
I mean, you can't go wrong with a Tony Hawk game either. To be fair, so.
No. But yeah, like I said, the amount that you could do in this, I'm very much so looking forward to playing in this, and probably once you guys are all finally done it, I'm going to get started. I'm like, did you guys do this? Yes, Fraser.
I have every intention of making this the game I play all summer long. Like I'm just going to turn everything over. I'm not going back to any like main quests for anything anytime soon. And
no Monster Hunters.
No.
I saw the look in your eye like, no.
I'm sticking to this one.
Not today.
Yeah. I'm really bad at combat in this game, though. I will say, like,
I'm with you.
Everything
I struggle with the combat too.
Yeah.
I just got to train my hands to be.
I think it's
better.
an age thing.
Yeah, it's like
the parry thing. I couldn't even do it on the tutorial. I couldn't nail the tutorial. I don't know if my leg is just bad on my setup or what, but
just Nintendo like inverting like every other control scheme, like where your main action buttons are the opposite of like PlayStation or Xbox games, like to wrap your head back around that scheme. And now it's going to ruin me for everything else I play after this for a good like 6 months. But
so what you're telling me is we shouldn't play Fortnite then.
No, you don't want to see me play Fortnite.
I don't want to have to carry the team. I'm saying.
I always accidentally press down on the D-pad and whistle at the most worst times possible.
Yep, every time. I'm with you. Or I'll like quickly try to switch like in the heat of battle and like I'll pull out the amiibo ability. It's like just a floating circle. It's like, fuck, no, I don't. This isn't helping. Yeah, so great though. Like I do think overall, like I don't know if I'm gonna like this more than Breath of the Wild, just because like how do you beat like a complete reinvention and like 3D imagining of like a game you've loved since you were 8? But there's a lot here, and even like some of my minor complaints, like it's hard not to just get lost in like the highlights and the fun moments because there's just so many of them, at least so far. I've just scratched the
overshadows
surface.
negative.
What's that?
And
It overshadows the negative.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, yeah.
So far.
And this, a year from now, to watch speedruns of this, it's either going to be incredibly entertaining or really boring if they have to use the same thing over and over. But
plus we'll have DLC by then. You know they're working on something.
Absolutely
No
no DLC.
Where do they go? They went to the sky. They went underground.
I saw
can't
somebody
go anywhere
suggest that they give them the ability to like actually swim through water. I was like, that's a good idea. Because it's weird that you can't dive down.
Yeah.
Since, that's kind of a staple in some of the games. Or at least Ocarina.
Got to find the boots.
That's another thing is I do like all the clothes options in this one. Like there's clothing to overcome all the shit that pisses you off. Like the frog suit to like climb on slippery stuff and the wing glider aid. Like I don't know how much you guys have found, but like there's a different set of clothes to boost almost every ability or counter everything you encounter. It's great.
Wow. Nice.
I'm having trouble getting rupees.
Yeah.
I don't know the best way to get that.
I feel like mining is
I've
it.
only found a few like people where I'll do a quest for them and I'll get rupees. But yeah, I
Mhm.
think mining might be and selling stuff. Yeah.
Have you guys ran into the Balloon Brothers yet?
Mm-mm.
I don't think so.
Okay. I won't say too much, but I'll say that they make Tingle look normal as fuck.
Okay, then I definitely haven't run into them.
Yeah,
yet.
you will not forget. You will know exactly when you see them. So, yeah. No, I'm loving it. I hope you guys are too.
Yeah, I'm going to be playing this all summer too, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Nope.
You'll get there eventually.
Christmas.
Yeah, well, it's going to be $70 forever. So yeah, there's no point.
I know.
Might as well just
Nintendo never,
no.
ever drops their damn prices. But you buy them anyway.
Yes, because we're saps.
It
then
felt
you-
weird paying 70 this time.
And then I buy the amiibo after I've sworn off amiibo. I bought none of the other Breath of the Wild amiibo, but this one was there, and I'm like, okay.
My brother
I'm an idiot.
sent
I'll
me a
take it.
picture, and he bought them all.
Yeah.
All from this one because he's like, I don't like amiibos, but I have a feeling these are going to be worth something. And he sends me the thing, and it's like literally all of them. I'm like, spoken like a true collector who doesn't
Yeah.
want to admit he's a collector. I feel like these are going to be worth something.
Oh,
Like,
that was where I drew the line. Like that first set came out, and like I had them all in my cart, and my wife's like, "It's okay, you can get them." And I was like, "No, this is $150. No, I'm putting them back. I hate myself." So
and then you just sit there at like the rest of the day, you're just moping. Sweetie, I said you could have bought it. No,
yeah,
leave me alone.
well, pretty much. But yeah, I have
And
this
the
wall
dumb-
of regret behind me.
The dumb, stupid one that nobody bought is the one that's going to be really collectible.
Yeah,
It's always how it is.
stupid amiibo. So
Yeah.
You know what? I don't mind them. They're cool.
yeah, they're
Like, I
worth
have-
the
I have a
money-ish.
couple. I have a couple. My favorite one, Bowser and Shovel Knight. I'm cool.
I think it was really fun when they were like super scarce and it was like exclusive. This sounds stupid because it was a giant pain in the ass and not consumer friendly because it's Nintendo. But like when they'd have a launch and then I'd have to be at 3 stores and like drop my wife off here and I'm planning on, elbowing people. Like that was great. Like the excitement of that.
It's
like
you know what
crack.
it is? It's the thrill of the hunt.
Yeah. Was I
That's what
happy
it
that I
is.
have Jigglypuff? Fuck no, but he was really hard
But
to
I
get.
got him.
So I got him.
And this scar right here is from when I punched that old woman in the face to get
Yeah.
the Jigglypuff.
Plus, there was like 50 of them, so you never knew which ones were going to be around,
Right.
Yeah.
It was cool. And then it wasn't.
Yeah.
It
Like
was probably never cool, actually. But to me, I got caught up in it.
that's why, like, when it comes to certain things now, I've just realized that if I see something I like and I'm able to purchase it, just do it. Like when we were in Florida, I sent you guys the pictures of the Last Ronin NECA figures.
Yeah,
I
those are
saw them
sweet.
and I'm like, I don't know. And Ashley's like, you love that shit. Just get it. And I don't regret anything. Like they're sitting on my shelf and they're not open, but they just look so sweet, you know? And I'm just at that point now where I'm just like, the regret of not getting it as opposed to the guilt of getting it is so much worse.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. And like if you have a spouse that is cool with you doing that, and I say, why not? It's not like you're doing anything that's bad. You're potentially getting something that eventually is going to be worth money at some point in time to somebody else, and you might recoup your money from it, right? Like,
Yeah, that's true. There's worse things. You could be out closing down the bars every night. So
Not mainland drugs, so you're good.
Yeah.
Black tar heroin, just tons of it, copious amounts. Putting it in your prison wallet to get it over the border.
Well,
If you got some of that 80s cocaine, though, it's probably worth more than it was then.
yeah.
Oh, true. Like Chris bought something. I keep pointing out, but I don't know what your layout is. But like Chris bought something, the Bowser.
The Lego
from the Mario movie.
No, the Mario movie.
Oh
that breathes
yes.
smoke.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Dude,
I wanted those figures so bad. I did the same thing I did with the amiibo. I looked at them all, and my wife's like, "You can totally buy them." I'm like, "No," but they're amazing. They're great figures.
Yeah,
The detail's great. The packaging's great. Did you buy the whole set or just Bowser?
I bought the whole set, and they're
Yeah.
open. My son wanted to open them, so I don't
Sure.
care.
But you're Nintendo Hodge. If you didn't buy them, you'd relinquish your name.
Yeah.
Well, but here it's a little surprising too, because I've been following you on YouTube forever as Nintendo Hodge, and then when you started your like quest to 500, I was like, how the fuck does Chris only have like 100 Nintendo games? He's Nintendo Hodge.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
it was weird that
yeah.
your NES collection, because like you were hunting and uploading videos in the years where that stuff was like quote unquote cheap.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised that you started off like so low on that. I'd have figured you'd have been 400 easy.
Well, when I first started that, I was only collecting certain games. I wasn't collecting everything, right?
Okay.
So like there's times where I remember having a giant lot of probably like 100 Nintendo games that I purchased, and I probably flipped 80 to 90% of them because I
Really?
was just in collecting only certain things that I wanted and more systems, right? Where my focus over the last 2 years now has been basically
Completionist.
Nintendo stuff. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I just figured you were kind of like keeping it all, and I was kind of surprised.
Yeah.
But, I mean, now
I wish I had been.
Yeah. Well, I mean, shit, you've got to be over where I'm at now. I don't think I'm as close to 600 as you are.
Yeah, I'm at what am I at? I'm like 10 away from 600 now, I think.
No, it's nuts. I mean, I've seen your list when you posted it, and I was like, holy crap, that's like a lot of big dog games there. Not a lot of filler left.
Yeah, very, very few fillers, that's for sure.
That's when you guys start checking out like those estate sales of those really weird people that you know
Yeah.
that don't go out. You're gonna find everything like perfect in box.
Yeah, I'm at 590.
Wow.
Nice. Well, at least you're somebody too. We should get to the weekend rental too, but I do want to touch on this. But at least you're somebody who's tuned into expos and conventions where you might get good deals. And I think it's worth touching on. You pulled off quite the feat. You ran that Toronto Game Expo.
Oh yeah,
first time
we got
ever.
our second expo now. Yeah, we're doing the Toronto Game Expo now.
It's pretty huge.
It was so successful that we hurt ourselves because we had people waiting outside for like 45 minutes to an hour to get into the venue.
No shit.
Because they
Wow.
wouldn't let us let anybody else in.
Because
So
they're at capacity.
yeah, so we've rectified that for the next show. And we're basically tripling the size of what we had for the first show.
You're just gonna do like a sitting area too, right?
Yeah, we'll have a big area for people for sitting and food and stuff like that. And the fact that we expand and add more entrances and exits increases the attendance that we can have in the facility. So
Dude, that's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a big
Yeah.
move. I mean, you've been doing the Barry thing. I think everyone in the retro community knows that one pretty well too. But get the Toronto one going too. Like,
yeah, it's an untapped market in a sense because there's shows that happen kind of around Toronto, but
Yeah,
nothing
outskirts.
downtown where we were like.
sure.
So this is good. And there's like Fan Expo and Comic Cons that happen, but
Yeah.
nothing gaming centric, which
Mhm.
is what we are. So
So do you
It
see like
was-
a potential with that at all to like conify it more? Like, I know it's mostly just about the swap, but like getting
No,
food
that's-
vendors, getting people, YouTubers, arcades.
yeah, 100%. Like, so we had a gaming area, like it wasn't
Okay.
arcade, but there's a company that set up a gaming area.
Okay.
So we're hoping to kind of make that a little bit bigger. We're looking at cosplay, for example. We
Yeah.
promoted it. We wanted people to come. We had a great turnout for it. So
Quite a bit.
we're going to try to incorporate something, maybe a cosplay contest at the next show type thing, right? And just slowly add other things. A couple YouTubers we've reached out to, like John Riggs and John Hancock. We might be able to get either or both of those guys to attend type thing.
Yeah.
We're just trying to decide if we're ready for that now, or if that's something we want to kind of hold on to till the next event. But I think that'll draw more people to it. So we're modeling it to eventually be like a full-blown 2-day con type thing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's awesome. I've been wanting to get up to the Barrie one forever, and then now I think I might pivot and try to do the Toronto one at some point.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. It's going to be the staple event, basically. Barrie's basically, it is what it is. It's not going to get any bigger, unfortunately, just because of the location and the facilities in the area. We're kind of at a stalemate in that sense. So
Barrie's like it's a comforting one, like
Community event.
yeah. So this is my first time actually like helping and working the event, and it's just the Toronto crowd is the people are different. You get the same vendors, and the vendors are really good, but like the Toronto crowd, there's just the people are different. They just have a different attitude, a different mentality, and I'm not trying to like harsh them, but there's a reason why myself and Ashley moved out of Toronto. Like,
Sure.
it's just kind of like that. Where you go to Barrie, like it's different. It's more like where everybody knows your name. It's like the cheers of the of the video. I'm not. That's what it feels like though. When you go to Barrie, you run into so many people you know, right? Where in Toronto, the only people I knew were the vendors.
yeah,
The people that were coming in the door, and I'm literally there, like scanning people's tickets. I'm like, I thought I was going to see somebody I knew.
Yeah.
Everybody I knew was a vendor. Where in Barrie, you bump into somebody randomly that you know. It's just weird how it worked out. But maybe it's also just because it was the first one, right?
That's
like,
wild though too. Like if you're getting all people that like are not friends and family, like that's amazing. Then when those people start coming in, like.
But you got the people that couldn't drive to Barrie. A lot of people in Toronto
Sure.
don't drive too, right? They take transit everywhere. And the location that Chris had was central to 3 or 4 different modes of TTC to get there, like the transit system to get there. So,
Well, that's good to know too. Cause yeah, assuming I'd fly in, I can just.
You could stay at my
not worry
house.
About it. Yeah.
yeah, you could spend. You could just go.
Can I sleep on the playmat? That looks like a fun
No,
corner.
you can sleep with Stanley. There's his bum right there. You can sleep with my dog.
Yeah, no, I definitely want it. So, are you gonna keep dates kind of like the springtime, like near MGC, or are you gonna play around with that? 'Cause that's what always kills me is like I spend all my money on MGC and then it's like
So
later.
we're gonna like our next one. We're already planning for October. Is it 28th for the fall Toronto show?
Okay, so you're gonna
And
do 2 a
then-
year.
2 a year for now, we think.
Okay,
We'll see how it grows and if it's capable to keep doing 2 a year. If it gets too big, we might only be able to do 1 a year.
When are you doing it? The next one?
October 28th, I think it is.
I have that week off, so I will be there.
Look at
I
that.
will-
Perfect.
Well, you've just assigned. I'll be there to do work again.
I have 3 weeks
yeah.
of PTO I need to burn. So maybe
Yeah,
this
there
is
you
the
go.
thing.
October 28th.
I
There
have
you
that
go.
whole week off. If you come to Toronto, man, I could show you the places not to go. Don't go
Yeah.
there.
Well, I
Don't
mean,
go
that's
there.
exciting. I mean, that's a huge. I thought that was a huge thing when you posted that on Twitter and like, that's like so. Now, when you say we now, this is gotta be bigger than just you working on. Obviously, Fraser, you're getting involved, but like, you got a few people helping you with all the planning and everything, or
Well, I mean, yeah, like it's the same group from Barrie,
okay,
basically. So like me, my friend Darby, and then our wives, and then Fraser, and then our friend Wilson helps out. And then my friend Neil helped out. And then we also technically the company that we hired to do the ticket stuff for us, we hired one of their people that be at the event for the first time just because it was the first event.
That was awesome.
Yeah. And then I mean the facility themselves, they do all the food, so we don't have to worry about that. The company we hired to do all the gaming stuff, they handle all that. So that's kind of where we're at. I'm assuming we're
Nice.
going to get to the point where we're going to need volunteers and stuff like that.
yeah, that's nice when you can keep it like lean though too, because then you have full control over.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
doesn't get out of
exactly.
hand.
Yeah.
Crazy. That's
It's
awesome.
fun. Like when I've done the Barrie one, I've just kind of like helped set up the tables, and then you go around and like, oh, Chris is like, oh, can you just watch the table for a second? Shit like that. Fun. But this one was like, it was myself and Neil were like at those front doors pretty much.
You
From
guys were there
start
the whole
to
day.
finish.
Yeah.
But it was fun because like myself and Neil, like we were just joking around the whole time. So when people were coming, they were upset because they were outside, and it wasn't because they were waiting, because it was also rainy. But
Oh sure.
You can't control that shit, right? So it's like, as they're coming, I'm like, me and Neil, like, pick my door. No, pick my door. This guy smells. Come over here. So we're like saying this stuff between the two of us, and then they start laughing before they come in. So it's like kind of changing their mentality from being pissed that it's raining, which is something you cannot control, to then just come in and have a good time. And more people left happy than like, because they realized you can't control a lot of that crap. And that it's just, but that's what I'm saying. We're like in Barrie, if that should happen, people will be like, well, it is what it is. But in Toronto, it's like, why didn't you contact God and have him turn the thermostat on? I want to speak to your manager.
I just imagine in my head a line in Toronto is a lot like a line at like the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, where like it's just all you smell is weed, constantly just weed.
Funny enough, okay, I have a funny
This
story.
is a hilarious story.
So the same day there was a weed convention going on.
Of course,
no word of a lie. But I'm like, oh, that's perfect timing. So people were coming in the doors and everything, and this was halfway through the day. Like this was probably just as the line started moving smoothly and we could let everybody in. So, and where we finally got to like take a little breather, and a woman walked in. She's like, I've been waiting outside for 2 hours. I'm looking forward to this. And she's like, because she was like the back of the line, right? Like I've been waiting. And obviously Toronto, when people say I've been waiting for 2 hours, it's really been like 45 minutes, but they're just trying to make you feel bad. And I go to like, look at her ticket and I go to scan and I go, yo, this isn't our event. She's like, what? This isn't the Weed Expo? No, it's the video game expo. Maybe you shouldn't have sampled the products before you went to the event. Where's the Weed Expo? Over there. Is there a line? I don't know. Like, do you want to come in and look at some video games?
Oh, that's amazing.
Like, I have been waiting outside, but she was not mad. She was more pissed at herself. She was like, have a good day, and just left. But it was, oh, I wish we had a camera just to like get that reaction, because it was priceless. Because like I looked at Neil, he looked at me, and we had to stop scanning tickets because it was just, you're laughing so hard. It was so random, but it was good. Like that's I had great. A very good time at the event. I always have a good time at the swaps. The only one time I didn't enjoy myself was it the Durham one?
That's pretty packed tight there. Yeah, it was
yeah,
probably
not because of the people or anything like that, but the venue is very small, and the way they did the table layouts, you could really only put like 2 people walking down. So if one guy was stopping to talk, you're just sitting there. Where this one, like, I could walk down the aisles and go like this, and like you so much space, people could walk. It was great. Really well done.
Nice. That's what you want, because like crowds gather at like all the hot booths, and then I don't know. MGC is pretty good about that too, spacing it out. But I've been to some conventions, like there's the one Andy and I go to. It's just a smaller thing, way smaller than like even Barrie, but in St. Cloud near the cities, and the people who run that just kind of insist on like as many tables into as little space as we can, and you're just like junk to butt like everywhere. Like it's bad. It's not pleasant.
Someone uses the merge function, junk to butt. No.
Oh God,
that one's fun though, because it's at the VFW, so you have like veterans who are drinking at 10 in the morning on a Saturday, like walking through the video game convention, like making wisecracks.
Yeah, and the guy who puts it on is like always coming over to our booth at like at the same time, 10, 11 in the morning with a pitcher of beer. He wants a beer. I'm like, I'm still getting set up. I will have one soon. It's gonna happen.
I actually think that's kind of cool. Yeah. I'm not gonna let that be kind of just. Do you want to buy any video games? No, but I'm gonna have several of those beers.
Yeah, supposedly that is going. I think he's getting a new venue. He told me last time I talked to him. I'll have to find out, because I need to sell a lot of, like, I've started purging my collection, so I've got tons of stuff out in the garage that I haven't sold yet. So keeping most, anything Nintendo, I'm keeping, obviously.
Like that pinball table, you're selling that behind you, right?
No, I'm not giving up my precious.
That precious.
Well, we should probably get into the weekend rental since we're over an hour here already, and you guys probably want to get some sleep tonight. But
We'll skip that totally original segment where we recommend.
Yeah, the random recommendations. Not
I can send you the
segment.
same sound clip if you want. Not mentioning that I'm stealing the idea for our intro because of your intro. So
Yeah, it's a trade.
it's just love, right?
We
It's-
just don't have
it's-
time for that totally original segment. Yeah.
It's game respecting game.
But yeah, weekend rental for anyone who's not familiar. We pick a game for a given system. This week, it's for the Genesis. It's Pulse Man, and we kind of give our opinions, play through as much of it as we can, and then decide at the end. Everybody will give a verdict if you'd buy, rent, or burn the game. Burn mean light it on fire. So yeah, Pulse Man. I guess the way I'd pitch this is somebody walked into a boardroom and said, "What do kids like?" And somebody else yelled out, "Sonic, Mega Man, and seizures." And they said, "Okay." And now we got the game.
That was my exact reaction. So first off, I played it on the Switch as per your recommendation.
Yep.
The rewind function is a godsend.
100%.
I made it through 5 stages. I made it through, I wrote them down. I made it through Japan, India, US, Alaska, and Thailand. I know there was only 2 more left, but I just didn't have the time to go through it.
Yep.
My least favorite one was Japan, the weird virtual one,
Mhm.
because there were certain walls that you could walk through, but there was no indication that you could walk through the walls. So like, it was really weird like that. The music was cool. I actually didn't mind the music, but it was too much, like so much of a sensory overload. And I feeling like I was gonna get like power-ups like Mega Man, like you could charge better, you could do this better, and it just never came.
Yeah.
Like it just felt like it was, I don't know, like a half-assed. Yet again, going back to the Mega Man is the adults only, and Pulse Man is the family one. It just didn't feel like it ever fully found its footing for me.
Yeah.
I played it, I enjoyed it, but it just wasn't enough like to keep me to finish it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think like it's a game that only apes on other inspiration. I think it's worth noting that this is a Game Freak game, which all they've done in the last 30 years is Pokemon. So it's cool to see a game like this from them. I think at its best, it's a visual powerhouse for the Genesis when it restrains itself. The problem is it's like every color, every layer of scrolling background all at once, to the point where like I've never had a 2D game make my stomach churn, but there were a couple levels here where I got pretty like discombobulated. Like I didn't know what the hell was going on or which direction my character was going anymore. I like the anime-ish cutscenes and stuff for the storytelling. And I really dig the fact that it's like a guy in a virtual environment and he's like diving in and out of computers. So they do like some pretty trippy stuff. And all the boss battles are large and like pretty interesting in how they've animated things, especially in the Genesis. But yeah, you made a good point on like, he doesn't evolve. Like his power-up skill set's limited.
Yeah.
And they just stick with it the whole time.
Like, because you get what? You do get a range attack, but you have to go back and forth to build up an electric charge before you can use it. Same thing, like when you did that electric charge, you could like do dash attacks and stuff like that. But that's pretty much it. It was more just like a quick like sword attack. But the range in that was very short.
Mm-hmm.
So if you didn't time it right, you were getting hit with the enemies that you were trying to hit themselves. I did, however, like the when you turn into the little pretty much like the little electrical ball and went through the wires. And I thought that was a really cool way of getting, because there was one level where that's what you had to do to get to the top. And I love that. I thought that was awesome.
It took me forever on that level to figure out that you could just press the direction to switch.
Yes,
lanes.
Me too.
Don't worry, me too. I thought you had to jump.
Yep. And it was awful to try and jump and get on the other lane. Yep.
Yeah, I felt like that was a very much so a Ninja Turtles 1 where everyone tried to jump over that little gap when you could just literally walk over. Like it was the path of least resistance. But in our head, we're like overcomplicating it. Like, no, you got to jump and then grab it. That one took me a while too. But then when I did it the first time, I'm like, what the fuck? Like I was so done. But it was good. Like it was okay.
Yeah.
it's weird how like there's the enemies are kind of sparse and really not any sort of challenge. The bosses obviously are a different story and more unique and have different patterns, but the for the most part, just the regular things in there, they just like litter them just kind of like randomly. I don't understand what the point of some of them were. But I do like how the game kind of uses the electrical charge thing as the gameplay device in a lot of cases. The problem is the later you get, the more it just tries to make it harder to pull those off.
Yeah.
And it's basically just taking the power away from you more often than not.
Like I said, if they just gave you a mechanic that like your ability to hold multiple charges, right? So like you can hold 3 electrical charges, so you can use that for 3 different things. Just something that, like you said, shows that your character is evolving. I was like sitting there and I'm like, it's going to be coming. And then when I actually looked up to see how many levels there were, and I'm like, okay, I've played through 5 and there's only 7. It is not coming. Like, I don't know. It's the redheaded stepchild of Mega Man.
And it's got good secret areas, but like you're just rewarded for like 1/10 of an extra life, you know? It's like, well, what's the point?
You know, and I don't know if anyone else caught it too. I think it was one of the later levels. I mean, obviously there's a Sonic and Mega Man influence here, but there's some platforming sections and music that is straight design and music wise right from Rocket Knight Adventures. So somebody must have been on the dev team for both, because it was just like, I've heard the soundtrack. And it was not Pulse Man, so it's interesting.
It's like the last level. They're like, just throw it in there. It's great.
Nobody will notice.
There's one that is a Pokemon track.
Really?
Like they could have, I think they reused it. They're like, oh, nobody played Pulse Man. We can use that one.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, my time with it was very minimal. Like you guys said at the beginning, I couldn't decide whether it was a Sonic game or a Mega Man game, and that kind of turned me off. I did like the look, the sprites and all that stuff, and the music, and that worked for me. And I could see what they were trying to do, like you said, show what the Genesis could do. But pick a lane and stick to it. Or I think if they took that Sonic element out of it, probably would have worked better.
I agree, because it only ever caused you to run into stuff and die. So it was like, the speed was never an important part of the gameplay, other than charging through static, your sneakers, or whatever, however that works. But I did like, I loved the final stage. Basically, if you guys didn't get there, you end up back in Japan, and then Nemesis jumps into an arcade cabinet, and you follow. And then you're basically
Dr. Wily to a T. Like 100%. That guy is like.
So then you're like pseudo playing like a platforming game, and it's got like the credits and the coins and the points and everything. It's a cool aesthetic. It, for a fourth wall thing, it doesn't save the game, and there's a lot of bullshit jumping that without the rewind, I can't imagine anyone beat this.
No,
back in the day, but it's
that rewind is key.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a couple bosses in here that I don't think I would be able to do.
No, 100%.
Without rewind.
Which I think it's worth noting that at Alaska level, I don't know what your Nemesis is saying, but I'm pretty sure he's yelling. The only thing I could figure, because it's Alaska, is he yells wolf pecker every time in between attacks. I don't know what it's supposed to be, but that's what I heard. And he said it a lot, because that's a long battle.
So funny enough, when I was playing it, is it India where you had to fight the tree in India?
Yep.
Right. So when I would hit the tree, there would be no animation showing that it was damaged. So it must have been something just with the game when I was playing it at the time. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? How are you supposed to kill this damn tree? I'm like shooting it, I'm hitting it, nothing's happening. Right. So I'm like, I pulled up a video and I'm like, how do you beat this tree thing? Right. And I finally saw it. I go, nope, you just hit it and goes. And sure enough, I played another round, and then the animation went through that I was actually doing damage to it. I'm like, oh, so it just was one of those moments where it just wasn't coming through.
Yeah. But I struggled with that too. I thought I was doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe I just didn't go at it enough. Like maybe obviously younger me, when I didn't have the advantage of having YouTube or anything like that, I would just keep going and going and just doing it. Where now I'm like, I do it once. Bob, what this stupid? How do you do this? YouTube, how to beat Tree Boss. But
yeah, we definitely don't have the patience or the finger dexterity anymore,
buddy.
sure.
Arthritis, crippling arthritis.
that's where that rewind is clutch, like you've been saying. Well, I think we pretty much covered it. What do you guys want to give it as far as a rating? I'll allow our guests to go first on the Byron Burn scale. Where does this land? You guys can fight amongst yourself. Who goes first?
I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't burn it because the potential is there, and it is like there was some aspects that were fun. But I wouldn't rent it either. I would get it through the.
But those are the only
Switch.
options.
The Nintendo Switch thing. Yeah, I would rent it. That would be it. I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't burn it. I would rent it because I couldn't see me wanting to play this again. Like it'd be like a one and done. I'm done. That's it.
Without knowing nothing about it and just looking at it, it would be, yeah, I'd rent this for sure. Knowing what I know about it, it would be like, okay, I'll rent this, but I want to rent these other 10 games first. Then I'll rent this one. But I wouldn't burn it and I wouldn't buy it. So it'll be a rental.
All right, Andy.
You know, there's a lot of things in this game where it really shows off what was possible on the Genesis in 1994, because it was kind of toward the end. If you would have, I would have never expected some of this stuff to even be pulled off at the end there. I don't know if that was even 3D. The last boss.
Yeah, it looked like polygons, maybe. It was
the guy's
tough to tell.
face. Yeah. Could be pre-rendered, I suppose. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff in here. Unfortunately, there's a lot of garish stuff. I don't know, like the USA one, I think they watched Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas and decided that was what America was like. And yeah, it's a little bit too garish and kind of short. So I'm going to say rental.
Yeah, I'm not going to rock the boat here. It's a rental. Again, a lot of potential. It could use a little more polish. It does some very memorable stuff. Like I'll always remember certain sequences of this game, but as far as going back through it after having seen it once, I'm good. Plus, just the fact that this doesn't just, the cover art is not just a seizure warning, top to bottom, front to back. Like kids died from this 100%. Like it had to happen. So I can't buy it for that reason.
That Australia level at the end where there's just pulsing circles, just I feel like I'm going to get activated by a secret world at some point.
Yeah. What you don't realize is you stopped playing at that moment. You got up, you went and assassinated somebody, then you came back. Join the Navy, even the Vetniage. But yeah, like I said, it was cool. Did not mind it, but
yeah,
it just made me want to play Mega Man X because Mega Man X was what I wanted.
Yep.
Right.
That's all it was. Like, and I'm not trying to bash it. It's just trying to be something that it wasn't. Mm-hmm. Like you said, it couldn't pick what it wanted to be. Yeah. But if I rented this and I played it, I wouldn't have been pissed off that I rented it, but I probably wouldn't rent it again. Like it'd just be like a one and done.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good summary. Well, with the weekend rental wrapped, we're nearing the end. But do you guys want to plug anything? Your podcast, where they can find you, things you're doing?
Chris, what are you doing?
I don't know. We got to do an episode. It's been a while.
I know.
Yeah, I've been waiting.
Yeah, we're the R3 podcast. You can find us on all your podcasting choices of listen. And I think we post them to YouTube still. R3, is it not R3 podcast? R3 Productions, I think it is on YouTube.
Yeah, well, that's where that's where you can see the live streams because we've kind of went to a live
stream. Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's how we do it now.
So we do it there, and then we'll post like a week after onto Spotify, which will then, or not Spotify, Anchor, which will then disperse it amongst all the places.
Yep.
And
then I'm
very similar.
Hodge,
and I'm at R3 Pod. But yeah, it's a very similar podcast here. It's just kind of like you catch up on everything. Just talk about life, gaming, poop in your pants, that kind of stuff. Whatever tickles your fancy. That's what I like about it, though. I always like said our podcast, and like the same with yours, is just a phone call catch up between friends. You haven't talked in a while. That's all it is, and that's why I like your guys' podcast too. It's like literally when you guys are doing your thing, it's like, oh, you're just having a phone call, and we're just there. We're kind of creeping in the background, listening to your phone call. Yes. But it's nice, and that's what I feel like ours is too. Like it's just very.
Well, you guys have opened it up with a live chat now, where it's just like people can come in and add comments and stuff, which is cool.
Yeah.
When it's Derek, mainly Derek.
I want to say it was that last one I jumped in on, and I was like already tipsy, and I was like fat fingering anything, and I was like, was the eat is hard or some shit I said at the end of that thing? You're like, you guys are just laughing like, what the fuck is he talking about? I'm like, oh god, like I need to just go to bed.
I was like just when I saw that, I just thought of the cat on the keyboard like typing really fast. But yeah, like that's kind of fun. The only thing I have, you guys could tell from me, is I get sidetracked very easily. So if I'm talking to Chris and something, and then someone says something in the comments, yeah, exactly, squirrel, plastic bag.
That's what I've noticed about between our podcasts. Like you said, the similarities, but like I think that's what makes it work. It's like I'm the spastic guy too, and Andy's there to mellow me out, and you've got Chris to kind of even you out. Fraser and I doing a podcast would be incomprehensible. We would never get anything done. Like it would be awful.
The podcast would just start as like, hi, this is our cooking podcast. Oh my god, a donkey.
And somehow we're like behind the inner workings of like, you know, Nazism and World War II and like Hitler's inner sanctum by the end of it. You know, it would just go weird.
It'd be a horrible podcast, but I would listen to it once.
Yeah, it wouldn't be good. Well, we appreciate you guys coming on, and yeah, we're fans of the podcast too, and it's great catching up. We'll have to do some gaming again because Chris,
those jump scares on Evil Dead, man, it was.
I'm jealous. That's all. I'm just jealous. So.
You know, I'll give you a little taste of this one. I know you guys talked when in the episode about it, like after we did it, but it was a good game. But there was no like any like clear definition of direction when we played, and the jump scares were freaking hilarious because literally I'm like, "Hey man, something sounds weird," and then like literally the screen would have a face on it, and it would jump scare you. And the funny thing is, I'm pretty sure that was the other guy playing that did it and he chose it, but he did both of us at the same time. So we're like, "What the hell?" Is that? Like it's one of those moments where like. You know, like the video, the kid like punches the monitor and he starts crying.
Yeah, I just wish I could play that game and feel like I wasn't just sucking horribly at life for like any amount of time because
you killed stuff.
Boy, I was always, you're being generous because I was always the worst player, even among like computer like AI stuff the last time.
So. Don't let him fool you, everybody. He killed stuff. He was tough. He had his sword. He did things. And if he wasn't using his sword, he was blocking punches with his face.
That I excelled at. That last bit I was great at.
It was a good game, but like I even made the list for that, but I was so surprised with how many like cross-platform like online games. There's really not many options out there.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
or a lot of them aren't like they're not just Fortnite. Like
right.
Because we played like when we were doing that with the same guys, the Not So Special guys, we did the same thing, and that's why I made the list for it. And we did Overwatch. We were getting our butts stomped on Overwatch because Derek was playing on PC, so it was putting us in the PC category, and they just destroyed us. So then we ended up switching to Fortnite because that was the only other thing we could play other than Ultimate Chicken Horse.
Yeah. We could even do something like as simple as like I hate to suggest anything 64 because it's the bane of my existence, but we could all just hop on Switch Online and do like a 4-player Mario Kart session or something stupid like that, and
that'd be cool.
You know, easy enough, pick up and play. Then you don't have to download a 60 gig game. So
and Mario Kart's always fun. I tried playing GoldenEye and the controls just
can't go back to that.
No, they said there's a way to make it work, but then you have to change you can't change the control setup in the game. You have to change your control setup for the system.
Oh,
so like the button mapping and everything. So you actually have to make something specific for GoldenEye on the system. And I've yet to do that because I'm like, I don't want to mess up my controller. Like, I don't want to but I loved GoldenEye. It was a fun game. But you guys know Video Game Donkey? He said the best way to play it is on a PC with a mouse and keyboard, and I was watching him play it and it looked So good. So I'm like, I might, if I feel nostalgic, I might just emulate it there.
I could see that being great.
Oh,
Yeah. They've probably up-resed it too.
yeah, it looked
Yeah.
really good.
Well, I suppose, Andy, you got to do the thing where you take us out.
Yeah. So I want you guys to, instead of email us, I just want you to spend that valuable time and go listen to the R3 podcast.
Aww. And email them still.
Reading's
Nah.
hard.
Yeah.
Eats is hard.
We need a break from all the emails.
2 a year is just brutal.
Yep.
Yeah. And all the sponsorships we've been getting. I got that. You get one free ball shaver. Nobody wants to come back. I don't know what happens.
The lawnmower, 5,000.
Just, I mean, our voices, and then thinking about our balls. It's just a big turnoff.
Yeah,
so.
that's true. You're right. That was the problem.
I would love
Yeah.
to listen to that advertisement spot. If you guys in the next episode could write one up and just randomly throw it into an episode. Have you ever noticed after you've crapped your pants that your balls are not as smooth as they should be?
Yeah. We are on YouTube, so you can watch this podcast on YouTube, see our faces. We can't show our balls on YouTube, so we can't show you how smooth they are. But
That's why we have an OnlyFans.
until next time, be kind, rewind.